in the future, inspiring innovations, transforming mankind. We'll be having some very interesting conversations in this session with varied subjects in mind, future of entertainment and community engagements, where we will be having a very interesting conversation between Mr. Alan Lau, founder of Wattpad, and Mr. Vinod Mahanta, senior editor, The Economic Times. We will then follow it up by our very interesting session on transportation in 2030, where we will be welcoming Mr. Harj Dhaliwal, Managing Director, Middle East and India Virgin Hyperloop, in conversation with Mr. Neeraj Jain, partner, Deloitte India. We will also be welcoming all of you to our session on Flying Cars, a Reality, where we will be welcoming Mr. Nobuo Kishi, Chief Technology Officer, SkyDrive, in conversation with Mr. Neeraj Jain, partner, Deloitte India. And of course, our very interesting session on Building of the Future, where we will be welcoming Ms. Mili Majumdar, Managing Director, Green Business Certification Institute, India, and Senior Vice President, US Green Building Council. So a lot of excitement around this very, very interesting segment. So please do stay tuned and do share with us what you think of this session on social media using our hashtag. Here we go.
Thanks so much, Isha. Alan, thanks for doing this interview today. You have a busy day ahead, so I will just jump straight into the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, COVID-19 has been a complete black swan event. One of the things that we have seen, especially in India, is how it has accelerated digitization. In your view, what will be the short-term and long-term impact of the pandemic on the digital businesses?
Yeah, well, I think in the short term, just like many other digital media companies have seen the usage, the consumption has gone up very drastically for obvious reasons, because people have more time staying at home to consume media. However, I don't believe in the long term there's any major change in the trajectory. The only change is more like the 2 years of growth compressed into 2 weeks. I think everyone saw that. But if you look at entertainment as a whole, or digital media consumption, or even creation as a whole, it's going through a period of disruption anyway. More people are going on streaming to consume media without the pandemic. So that trend has not changed at all. So I think long term, if anything, I've always been bullish about this. In this new environment, just the growth has been greatly accelerated.
A lot of people, a lot of businesses, if you see, they've been focused on survival. You've taken a very big step. Wattpad was acquired by Naver in January. The whole logic was basically it will increase the user base, it will increase the number of platforms. Where exactly do you stand today in this whole transformation to a global multi-platform business?
Yeah, it has gone extremely well. While Wattpad has always been a global multi-platform entertainment company, and we always wanted to expand into other platforms, and the acquisition with Naver, specifically the Webtoon division, greatly accelerated that, because we now, as a combined company, we have comics capability, animation capability that Wattpad did not have as a standalone company before. So that part is very obvious. And as an example, we have combined the two studios division, Wattpad Studios and Webtoon Studios. Now we have a Wattpad Webtoon Studios as a combined entity, and it's a 1 + 1 = 3. And then another thing I want to point out is the reach of the company has almost doubled overnight as well. Wattpad alone has over 90 million monthly users, 94 million to be specific. Webtoon has over 60 million as well. So the combined entity, way over 150, 160 million monthly audience on our platform. So with the catalog of TV shows and movies, which we have close to 100 projects in various stages of development, the TV and film projects, and also book publishing projects as well. The progress has also took a step function growth.
One is a Korean company, other one is a Canadian company. How difficult was it basically to manage the cultural integration part? A lot of Indian businesses are thinking about going abroad, acquiring businesses abroad.
Yeah.
Maybe there are a few lessons for them.
Yeah, saying it's not challenging in this environment would be disingenuous. Korea is 13, 14 time zones away from Canada, and we could not meet in person for the most part. But in a way, it's also easier because there are so many challenges, discussion or meetings could be done over digitally right now, and saving a lot of travel time. So you win some, you lose some. At the same time, the sky is a little bit reopen right now. We are starting to meet in person to build a relationship. So from that perspective, it's going really well, but challenging in a different way. At the same time, this strategy is spot on, and there are so many synergy that we have already been extracted, like this on the studio side. We combine the two, the reach has doubled. So a lot of the ideas that we had in theory is actually in action right now. So we are very pleased with the progress.
Great. Wattpad has been basically a global case study in community building. If you see, in India, this community building is just taking off in terms of digital businesses. What are the few tenets which you can share with a lot of our entrepreneurs regarding how to create world-class community engagement? If there are some learnings you can share, that.
Yeah, and in short, there's no border on the internet. For entrepreneurs, in the right context, think about global as very, very important. For example, Wattpad supports over 50 languages, and you can access the content in any language that you want on. As long as you have an internet connection, regardless of the border. And we don't have an office in 200 countries. Let's be perfectly clear. So I think having that mindset have that DNA built into your company early on is very, very important. I think in a way we also have a natural advantage because the company is based in Toronto, and Toronto is one of the most diverse cities in the world. Half the population were born outside of Canada. So to support like an international business in a way is much easier because we could hire people who can speak multiple languages and culture locally, but that should not be the reason stopping other people from building a global business. You could do this at your home, even in a new world. So having that mindset, I think, is the most important.
Sure. One of the things that we are seeing in India in the last 2-3 years, basically, the media consumption habits are changing very drastically. Part of it basically due to the fact that we have the lowest cost data across the world. And also penetration is going to a very different level in India. One of the most important development has been the rise of short form video, which was started by TikTok, but then TikTok was banned in India. One of the things a lot of companies in India are struggling through is, do you go specialization? Do you do specialization? You go into a one format, or you look at the horizontal way, you look at multi-platform kind of thing. What's your point of view on this?
Yeah, I think in the very, very early stage, of course, we as a small company in the past, I'm talking about during the founding stage, has to be focused. So very early on in the first few years of our journey, we only focus on text-based content, fictional content. as we continue to expand, we quickly realized the atomic unit of the company is a story. We are a storytelling company, and as a storytelling company, we have formats or media format agnostic, as long as we can tell a great story. And that's how and why we expanded into movies, TV shows, print books, and now with the combination of naval webtoon with comics and animation as well. But we don't stop there. There are so many different new forms that we can expand into, especially different countries and different cultures. They have different consumption habits. One format may work in certain culture, but it might not work well in other environment for many reasons, right? So we, as an entertainment company, we constantly remind ourselves we have to think about what format is most suitable for the right audience in the right country and culture, and continue to expand into those formats that we don't already support.
How long did it take you basically to create a world-class product which you are very comfortable with, which was successful as well as viable?
We started the company in 2006, so almost 15 years ago. You cannot do this overnight. It takes time to nurture the community, expand the product, expand the content, expand the formats, all the points that we touched on earlier. There's no overnight success, and we are not done yet. There are so many things that we still want to do. In a way, I feel like we just finished chapter 1, and chapter 2 and 3 is still ahead of us. So for any other entrepreneurs in this business, it's almost like a lifelong journey.
Sure. You built a very successful community, but now if you see the way TikTok has moved, the way Instagram is moving, there's been a sudden rise of the creator economy. Were you surprised by this? Do you think it's a pandemic only phenomena? It will subside after pandemic?
No, I don't think it's because of the pandemic. Very similar to the consumption growth. I believe on the creator side, that trend started to take off in maybe 2 years, 3 years, or even a little bit longer. But the pandemic greatly accelerated that. Because people spend more time at home, and that creative energy needs an outlet, and naturally would expand into the creator economy, especially the economy as a whole is going through a period of disruption as well because of the pandemic. However, I would also say because of the infrastructure is already there, most people on this planet, they have high-speed mobile internet connection above at a very affordable rate. Creating content in any formats 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it might require professional setup. Now, because of the foundation is laid, everyone can do this in their comfortable home. So the number of creators all of a sudden increased from millions to billions, and that in a way enable the phenomenon of the fandom as that's the first step. And once the internet community has formed, the natural next step would be monetization from that fandom. So I definitely do see this as a very natural progression.
One of the most interesting facts has been basically the rise of the Chinese digital companies. I mean, especially if you see the rise of the TikTok across the world and how quickly it has gone across. Was it a surprise to you that a Chinese entertainment company scaled up so fast, and the kind of AI engine that they have? What's the edge, do you think, that the Chinese internet companies have?
one thing that's very important for all of us to understand, which I also touched on earlier, is there's no border on the internet. If you have a piece of content created in one country, if you put it on the internet, it's instantly accessible in 200 countries in the world. So if you look at China, many of the domestic companies have been doing extremely well on many formats in many sectors already. So in a way, expanding into a different language or different geography, so much easier these days than before. I think the global competition is very fierce because of the borderless nature. You know, if you look at Wattpad and Naver Webtoon as an example, in a way, this type of integration and enablement of combining the two companies and expand into different geographies and different verticals is so much easier these days. So I definitely would not be surprised by some of the Chinese companies, and I would not be surprised by any Indian companies taking on the global stage in such a massive way in the near future.
Sure. Last question. I think we have run out of time. If you follow the Indian startup ecosystem, we've had about 25 unicorns. So a lot of them in the the last 1 year or so. Valuations are through the roof, but but at least 90% of them are not profitable. Where do you stand on this profitability versus growth debate?
Yeah, we are looking at something really new in human history, which is the affordable global high-speed internet available to everyone. That did not exist even 10 years ago. So the size of the opportunity is so massive that unlike anything we have seen before, and therefore the huge investment into these digital internet companies makes a lot of sense, because there's still a lot of unlocked potential. And as we have seen since the beginning of the commercial internet more than a quarter of a century ago, there's some value, a huge value, I should say, to be the first to market. Typically, these companies are in the winner take all, winner take most market. So being able to capture that market early on can create so huge a return in the future. So long way to say, profitability for some might not be the most important at this stage, as long as they can see the path to profitability at some point.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for sparing some time out of your busy schedule. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Alan. Thanks again.
Thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
Greetings, Harj. Thank you so much for your time today. And today we have invited you to this session on investing in the future, inspiring innovations, transforming mankind. And with the work that Virgin Hyperloop is doing in reimagining how we will transport in the future, we are very excited to hear from you. And Harj, I just wanted to ask you, from a perspective of how the journey has been for Virgin Hyperloop, what role has innovation played thus far, the challenges that you have overcome, etc. Just speak to us, Harj, about the journey thus far. Over to you, Harj.
What a fantastic question. First of all, thank you very much to the Economic Times and yourself for setting this up today, and it's a pleasure to be on the panel. It's a great question because, you know, everybody forgets this. We are still a startup company. Yeah. We were founded in 2014 in a garage on the back of an idea from Elon Musk. When he was sitting in a traffic jam in California and contemplating there must be better ways to travel and get around this planet than just sitting in a car polluting the environment, okay?
Yeah.
And then, you know, our company was founded in 2014 and we took up that challenge, that baton. And I think, you know, it's fair to say that I think, you know, we've become an absolute leader, proponent in this technology. I think in terms of where we are, you know, we are working across the US, Europe, Middle East, and India. And India has been fascinating, okay? Because we came to India and we're not sort of, you know, I would say new to India any longer. I don't see myself new to India. We've been working in India since February 17. And that's when we came to India with a vision. And that was a vision for India, and it was a connected India. And it was the ability to be able to connect all tier 1 cities in under 2 hours.
Excellent, excellent.
And that's not changed. That vision from 17 to now has not changed. And we are as committed to India as we were then. And I'm just going to finish off, Neeraj, and I love talking, so I'm going to talk. But the challenges, I think a couple of the big challenges, 2 big challenges.
Yeah.
One is this real and will it ever happen?
Yeah.
And I think when we look at our achievements and what we've done, we're the only company in the world to have a full-size test facility.
Yeah.
We've done over 500 tests. We've raised nearly $500 million in private equity capital and funding with fantastic investors that believe that this technology will change the world and the way we move.
Yeah.
Okay. And in addition to that, you know, the other key area is cost. And we need to be able to drive that cost down. Yeah. So for us, it's how does our technology, what do we do that can enable us to bring that cost point down? How can we manufacture and build cheaper?
Yes, absolutely.
And when, with the advent of technology that's now available to us, which wasn't even available to us 5-10 years ago, we can do that. And what we've done there is we've actually dumbed down, this is a word I use, we dumbed down the infrastructure. So the infrastructure is passive. There's not much in it anymore.
Got it.
It's
Got it.
like a railway where you have a lot of line side equipment, right?
Yeah.
What we've done is we've taken all that line side equipment and we've put it on board.
Understood.
So the vehicles are packed down with our technology, our propulsion, our levitation, our controls.
Yeah.
And I would use an adage, we're almost like a plug and play.
Understood.
Each vehicle, each pod has all the technology on it. If we need to take it out of the system for maintenance, we just pull it out. If we need to upgrade it, we just pull it out. There's very little that we need to do to the infra once it's in. And I think that's a big change.
Yeah. And Harj, on that point of the cost element of it, the technology, how you kind of talked about, etc. So could you just elaborate, what are some of the biggest challenges to mass adoption, mass rollout? Is it, I mean, you've dumbed it out, you have demonstrated, you've talked about how you are trying to bring the cost down, etc. It always happens, you know, technology always evolves that way. So if you were to point out the 2 biggest challenges to mass adoption and also give us some sense of how soon will this become a reality? Are we talking 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? That would be very helpful. So
one of the hurdles to mass adoption, I think, is a sort of succinct way of asking that question. The number one is we can't do it on our own. We are a company, we are still a startup, and we cannot do it on our own. We need partnerships. Yeah. So we will be looking for partnerships and develop that ecosystem to work with us. I mean, just as an example, in India, 74% of the components that we need for a Hyperloop system in India, 74% of the components that we need, 74% of the components we need can be sourced in India, 70% of which can be sourced in the state of Maharashtra, where we've done a lot of work. Yeah. So we do need partners. The second thing is, we also, and the private sector, we also then need, on top of that, government. Yeah, both state and federal. They have a huge role to play in innovation. And this is an interesting one, because the other challenge I always have is, has this technology improved and is it in operation? Well, if it was, it wouldn't be innovating. Right? There is no such thing as innovation. If you go right back to innovation, and when I think we were in the heyday of innovation, It was actually in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
And if we consider that 100 years between 1804 and 1904, what was achieved by those great Victorians, it wasn't because it was out of the love of doing it. It was out of necessity. Innovation was driven by necessity. We are at a point in the 21st century now where I think necessity will drive innovation again. And I'm going to come on to another fantastic key area, I think. Because what is the absolute key point? What is the thing that keeps everybody up at night, which keeps governments up at night, which keeps India's leadership up at night? It's the environment, it's energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Harj, on that point, can you articulate a bit what are some of the environmental considerations that have gone in? And you mentioned the energy aspect. So just articulate a little bit more. There is heightened sensitivity to the whole climate agenda nowadays. Over to you, Harj.
So the climate agenda is absolutely a 21st century issue. And as I said, it'll drive innovation. And when we then start thinking that what we do on Earth, what do we do? What, as people, as machines, what do? We just push air around. Okay? We use vast amounts of energy to move air. Now, if you go to a Hyperloop system and you actually then say, principally, I'm going to remove the air, what happens then? The amount of energy you need to move around absolutely exponentially falls away. Okay? So all of a sudden now, I don't need the amount of energy to move the numbers of people that you would in an aircraft or a train. You only have to put your arm out in a car. Just your arm. And you feel
the drag.
The amount of drag that you have to overcome. Okay? Imagine the amount of drag, the energy that's needed in a plane or a train. So for us, number one thing is by actually using the principles of Hyperloop and this technology, we've removed the air, the biggest impediment. Secondly, we can reduce the number, so the amount of energy we need. By reducing the amount of energy we need, we can then start looking at, okay, if we need very little energy, from our own modeling, we know that we'll be able to generate using renewables, and certainly in climates like India and the Middle East where I'm working, there's enough solar energy to be absolutely gained from advanced photovoltaics, which are now starting to merge. There's all kinds of innovation in that area as well. Which we would wrap around our infrastructure, our tubes. And because of the amount of surface area and the long linear nature of our projects, all of a sudden what we've got now is almost a self-generating infrastructure project. And from our own calculations modeling, we know that in off-peak periods, we'll be able to generate more power than we would actually require. We would therefore become a net positive contributor into the grid. How about that? An infrastructure project generating more power than it needs. Excellent.
Got it, Harj. And Harj, I mean, you know that the challenges for India, that would be great news. We are a very big reliance on imports as far as energy is concerned. Apart from that, Harj, any concluding thoughts on what could a Hyperloop do for India?
So the other area I think Hyperloop, other than a mass transport system, and it is mass, we're able to carry up to 20,000 passengers per hour in each direction. It's an opportunity, okay? It's an opportunity for India to become a global leader in a technology that's never been done, the fifth mode of transport. And what does that do? If you just take Mumbai-Pune as a case study, we know that over the lifetime of the concession, we'll be able to generate 1.8 million new jobs, not purely from our project, but from the adjacencies that technologies like ours will bring to India. From EVs to batteries to AI to robotics to manufacturing to construction to maintenance. It creates a whole new, and that's just one project. That's just one line. Imagine a network as per our vision. So I think there is a whole socio-economic upside, and again, Mumbai-Pune would generate 36 billion in socio-economic benefits.
Excellent.
So I think there's a huge opportunity. I think it would transform India. It would enable India to actually start looking at the next 100 years, as opposed to looking at technology that will probably take it through for the next decade or two.
Very quickly, Harj, last one. How soon do you think we will have a commercially operational Hyperloop system anywhere in the world?
As fast as the government wants to. No, I think my view would be, you know, both. There's a lot of work to be done. I think India actually is probably, you know, in the lead around the world with the amount of work that we've been doing, both the state and federal. But I think we are looking at around 26 for a cargo project to be coming on stream, and I think by the end of the decade we're looking at commercial passenger carrying capability.
Very exciting indeed, Harj. Very, very, very exciting. Thank you so much, Harj. I mean, we'd love to continue our discussion, but I think we're running out of time. So thank you so much. All the very best, and looking forward to travel in a Hyperloop very, very soon. Thank you so much, Harj. All the very best.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. It's been a pleasure to be talking today.
Greetings, Nobuo Kishi-san. This is Neeraj, Innovation Leader, Deloitte India. And thank you so much for taking out time to be with us here today and interact with us. Nobuo Kishi-san, SkyDrive is making waves in terms of the future of urban travel, flying cars, as I can see in the background as well. Please share with us what the journey of SkyDrive has been. How much have you accomplished? Of course, you demonstrated a manned flight last year in September. What progress have you made? So over to you, Nobuo Kishi-san, to bring us up to speed where you are as well today.
Okay, so I want to introduce the SkyDrive and the recent status of the development since last summer. So the first, briefly, I would like to introduce myself or my experience. And first, so I'm joined Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in 1982, and about 37 years experience for the development of the fighter and commercial aircraft. But the SkyDrive vehicle is that the process of the development is completely different from that of the commercial aircraft and the fighter jet. So our company is not only developing not only the vehicle, but also the company system development process and standardizations. So every day I could find out the new technical issues, and every day I would resolve the problem. That's the development. So our companies is every element of the company is in the process of the agile process, agile and waterfall hybrid process, I think. Okay.
Thank you, Nobuo Kishi-san. And Nobuo Kishi-san, when you talk about everyday problem solving, agile, it has been 1 year since you demonstrated the manned flight. What is your guidance to us? How soon are we going to see this become a reality? And also speak to us about some challenges that you see for mass uptake.
Okay, so the last summer we demonstrated the one-seat version of the eVTOL, and you can see the 8 rotors, and one area we have the 2 rotors, counter-rotating and rotating propeller, one set of rotors, and 4 locations. We have the 4 locations of the rotors. But that model is the short range and the one-seat vehicles. Now we are developing the 2-seater type and the more rotors than that of the last summers, because we have to meet the requirement of our sales versions of the vehicle. Our target is, the 2025, just before the Osaka Expo. So now we are discussing every day on the best configuration of the vehicle and how many rotors and how big motors and the batteries. So every day we have to resolve the problem. We have to discuss about the configuration. That is the status.
Got it. Got it. So by 2025, Nobukishi-san, we be looking forward to fly in a flying car. Is that a correct expectation?
Yes. The flying car is the flying car, but our first vehicle is the aircraft. No driving unit, but 2025 is our target of the starting sales.
And Nobukishi-san, I have a car driving license. Would that be enough to fly a car or ride a car that flies, or there would be a commercial pilot license, or are you planning to do a autopilot kind of a thing?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's the discussion simmer, and we are now continue to discuss with the Japanese government at the regulatory. So that I think the simple the control skill, but not automobile. So not helicopter, not aircraft. So we will define the rating of the pilot and some qualification of the pilot rating. In the near future, we'll define the level of the skill of the control.
Nobukishi-san, you talked about how on a daily basis you are identifying problems and then in an agile way you are trying to solve them. What are some of the challenges from a perspective of the development and the innovations that you have? I mean, you talked about how you have 37 years of experience into aircraft, etc. So what are some of the innovations that you have brought in? If you can speak about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the eVTOL is the how can we practice the vehicles? We don't have the game-changing technologies, but we have to improve the battery system, motor system, and inverter system, and also the flight control system, and the same cost reduction is the most important theme for us, because generally speaking, the product for the passenger aircraft is very, very high cost. But for the component for the automobile, it's high quality, but not so high cost. So we will aim to get the high quality and low cost component with high safety criteria, That is our challenging technology development.
Understood. Nobukishi-san, as you do all this development, there is also, we live in an era of increased sensitivity towards climate change. So what are some of the considerations that engineers and technicians are having in mind as you are developing the flying car?
So the comparison with the automobile, the most important thing is the two things, to meet the safety criteria, and also we will acquire the type certifications, and also we will continue to effort to enhance the social acceptance of our product. Because our customers can fly them with peace of mind. So the technology and parts type certification and the social acceptance. So our engineers is the first. We will have the challenge to develop the efficient component with safety to meet the safety criteria. And second is to acquire the type certification. And third is our product to make sense to the peace of mind.
Understood.
Okay.
So Nobukishi-san, in India, we have very large cities, 20 million, 30 million populations as well.
Mhm.
And one of the things that flying car seeks to solve is traffic jams at peak
Yeah.
times in urban transport.
Yeah.
What is your advice for India? What role
Uh-huh.
could India government play?
Yeah.
What path could India government take? And how could academia also get involved as we seek to solve our own challenges and seek to do something along the lines of flying car for India?
Yeah.
Your thoughts.
Yeah. So I know there is the daily traffic congestion in India. I can see the news on the newspapers. Easily I can see, and the eVTOL may be a new mobility to change the people's lifestyle without building the further road or railroad. And in order to develop in order to change the lifestyle, India is make this initiatives to develop the vehicles. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nobuo Kishi-chan, for your time today. It was lovely catching up with you, and all the very best on your agile journey towards making this happen very, very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Good morning. My name is Mili Majumdar. I am Senior Vice President at the US Green Building Council and Managing Director with GBCI India. And I am happy to be talking to you today about the future of green buildings, importance of health and well-being of occupants, and importance of digital innovations such as measuring performance as a gateway to improve outcomes in any office space. All these can be achieved with the help of the certification program that we operate globally, named LEED, the world's most widely used green building rating system. Here at US Green Building Council and GBCI, we passionately believe that LEED is a part of an affirmative answer. It is a proven market transformation tool that is holistic by design, balancing each of the dominant elements that make up the built environment with a view to planetary impact. Whether you view this through a lens of human health, climate change, environmental health, or resiliency, LEED is intentionally designed to address these elements in a balanced and integrated manner. The global foundations for sustainability we have set in place is indestructible, and we are driven by a strong vision of green buildings for everyone within a generation. I wanted to take a few moments to talk about some important trends we are seeing at USGBC as it relates to the global green building industry. USGBC partners with Dodge Data and Analytics on a World Green Building Trends report. The report surveyed over 1,000 participants from nearly 70 countries, and here are some highlights. Number one, we overwhelmingly see the growth in green buildings being driven by strong business benefits. Two, clients' demand and environmental regulation also tops the list for motivators when deciding to build green. Third, most importantly, creating healthier buildings is a top motivator, especially in Brazil, China, India, and the United States. And we work towards market transformation for built environment through LEED Green Building Program. LEED helps us build, operate healthy, green, resilient, and sustainable buildings and communities and cities around the world. LEED certified buildings enjoy a lifetime of returns. They cost less to operate, reduce energy and water bills by as much as 40%. Buildings and organizations across the globe use LEED to increase efficiency of buildings, enhance employee productivity, and reduce absenteeism. Employees who occupy green buildings, and especially LEED certified buildings, are happier, healthier, more productive than employee occupying conventional buildings. Let us take a look at some examples of corporations that have adopted sustainability as their mainstay and the resultant benefits that they have achieved. The Citibank premise in Mumbai decreased its potable water use by up to 42% over its baseline and is saving nearly 8 million Indian rupees through application of green building principles and LEED certification. Behind the simple and unassuming facade of the YKK building, that is LEED Platinum, located in Tokyo, Japan, lies the marvel of digital innovation and climate smart building technology that has resulted in 60% savings over the ASHRAE baseline, which is the global standard that defines the baseline energy consumption in any building. Let us look at some of the measures that they have deployed. The front screen, which you saw in this, which looks like a simple mesh, is actually an active screen, and it is a marvel in and digital innovation itself. The front screen, what does it do then? It screens out direct solar radiation, thus stopping the heat coming into the building while it allows useful daylight. Controls are embedded within the screen to monitor solar access and help in operation of the facade to suit climate requirements. The facade also filters noise and acts as a space for accommodating services. So sustainability and energy efficiency is one of the mainstays, that can be also driven through digital innovations, and data is very critical. As we have navigated the pandemic, we have realized more now than ever, that the need for healthier workspaces is predominant, and sustainability has to be teamed up with healthier workspaces that offer both physical and mental well-being for occupants. As a part of one of the studies that we have recently conducted in about 30 office buildings in India from their health and well-being perspective, and the cumulative occupancy was about 30,000, we surveyed about 1,500 occupants, and we got some, good insights into the space. We studied the indoor environment quality of the spaces and asked people how they feel inside the spaces. We also did basic health check of the people inside the spaces. And the study findings show that most offices are unable to maintain healthy indoor air quality. Both indoor and outdoor pollutants are a matter of key concern. And most of these being certified or green rated spaces to any green building rating standard have poor indoor ventilation that leads to bad air quality. So we asked the occupants on how they feel inside the spaces, and we then correlated the findings with the actual indoor environmental quality, and we found that lack of access to good outdoor view, high levels of nitrogen dioxide in the indoor spaces, low daylight levels were the top factors that affect people's well-being in office environment, and main reasons for occupants feeling fatigued at the end of the day were lack of access to good outdoor views, high levels of interior noise, and poor thermal comfort conditions. We also surveyed the people, and about 66% of the respondents reported musculoskeletal issues due to long sitting hours. About 44% of the survey respondents, mostly below the age of 45, were facing one or more lifestyle-related diseases. About 37% of the occupants, reported sleep deficit, and hence the consequences were difficult. So what is it that new age office spaces can do? And these are some of the workplace interventions that can encourage office workers to lead a healthier lifestyle. For example, educating people on the importance of healthy diet, provision of amenities that encourage people to be physically more active are some of the basic principles that have to be followed in addition to sustainability inclusion in the spaces. Now, finally, I come to the criticality of monitoring data and performance data as a key element to drive efficiency. And we believe the performance is the future of any green building. And so we created this digital platform to track performance of buildings on a real-time basis that help people design, build, operate buildings and spaces that benefit both people and environment. And ARC offers a simple scoring methodology to benchmark buildings on a global scale, peer-to-peer, as well as within portfolio. In ARC, you can visualize your own score and performance on a real-time basis and take actions to improve performance. And at a portfolio level, also it is possible to monitor performance and track data and energy and other sustainability parameters on a regular basis. So in GBCI India, I just want to conclude with this. We believe in walking the talk, and we have followed with all these principles, and our space is designed to both LEED and WELL Platinum. The space has incorporated biophilic design concepts. It monitors all the parameters on a real-time basis, and we maintain performance. And it is, we also regularly conduct people survey to see if they feel good in the spaces that they occupy. And maintaining performance and conducting regular occupant survey is critical to maintaining, in continuity of good operations of the building. So as an outcome, our employees have negligible health symptoms related to workspaces. They feel refreshed in the office, and there is no fatigue at the end of the day. So key, and these are some of the things that we do. This is you are welcome to come to our office anytime. So I just want to conclude by saying that key to future office space is to design to perform, to measure to improve performance, and data-powered digital innovation shall be the key to success. Lead on. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Mili Majumdar, for joining us and sharing with us more about buildings of the future. And so very kind of you to invite all of us to your office space and give us a feel in touch of what you and your team are all about. Thank you. It's been a pleasure listening to you and learning from you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Her talk on buildings of the future. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to visit us in our experience zone, get to know more about our partners at the partner booths, the various services that they have for you. I'd also like to request all our attendees to please share your thoughts with us, what you think about the various speakers that we've lined up for you. Do head to your social media accounts on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and do remember to tag us using our hashtag ETGDI Summit. We look forward to selecting some amazing thoughts from you for some gift vouchers worth 5,000 rupees from ET Ed. So there's a lot of excitement around today's sessions, and our next session will be a very interesting CEO fireside chat on survive, navigate, and seize the upside of disruption in just a bit.